Out of all people that I thought would be criticizing Coach Prime, I was literally shocked when I found out that Samuel L. Jackson has some choice words for Coach Prime. It seems like now that Colorado has hit a slump and they're not pushing through and persevering and pulling these games out, there's been a lot of people on the social media stratosphere and people like Sam Jackson, who I would have never even thought would have been on the radar of paying attention to what's going on in Colorado. But I mean, Colorado has been the epicenter of college football pretty much for the last couple of months since the season started. Sam Jackson literally came out and had some choice words for Coach Prime. E41 podcast. And I'm Anthony, AP. And one thing I greatly appreciate is all my new subscribers. And make sure you check out a lot of the content I have to offer on this channel. A lot of good talk on here. Like this video, but most importantly, subscribe to the channel. Okay, now it's time to just officially, let's just dive deep into this. Some X reposts that Sam Jackson did over the weekend. The first one was pretty much criticizing, or not necessarily criticizing, but just giving his viewpoints of the game, which was pretty fair viewpoints, if I may say the least. I mean, they weren't anything that was demeaning or anything that was harsh or anything like that. This first X post, repost on X, says brain farts all around. The OC can't call 3 run plays to get off the field. The DC, defensive coordinator, can't get his guys to stop a baby carriage. Shiloh can barely walk and is going to end up playing wheelchair football behind the O-line. He was talking about Shedeur Sanders, not Shiloh. Sam goes on to say, my rage is better served watching villains in a good Bollywood movie. Then he goes on to just, Shem Shara, here come no more Buffalo football tonight. No more. Okay, so he was pretty much kind of frustrated, like all of us was, watching the game against Oregon State, where Colorado, they lost. The Buffaloes lost 26-19 on Saturday, this past Saturday. So unfortunate. But anyway, the second tweet, or I got to get used to X post. The second X post goes on to, this is where he starts to throw shade at Coach Prime and criticize Coach Prime. Someone on X had sent out a tweet, a post, and Sam Jackson was responding to the person by saying, referencing Coach Prime. Now, some of the grammar in this X post or the repost is not necessarily great grammar, so we'll read between the lines while I'm reading this. Sam Jackson goes on to say about Coach Prime, looked, he was just standing around watching. Did you see him using a mic or communicating with any other coach before the half was over? Now, this is the thing, and this is kind of goes back to what I was talking about at the top of the vid. Everybody's an armchair quarterback or a Monday morning quarterback. And if you've been watching the Buffaloes all season, like I have, like you have, we have a right to be frustrated because there's a lot of frustrating things that we see every single week, like a bad offensive line, Shedeur taking way too many hits. The defense not coming up sometimes earlier, in the season, not coming up with stops when they should have. Lack of a running game. I can go on and on and on. But I have had to literally sometimes rethink some of the videos that I might post because I don't want to come off as, me being an African-American man criticizing another African-American man in a high-profile position that's doing some really great, really good, amazing things right now in Colorado. Go check out some of my previous videos where I've given nothing but high praise to Coach Prime. And I'll continue to do that, and I'll continue to be one of his biggest supporters because I love his encouragement. I love his charisma. I love what he brings to the game. I love his spirituality and how he evokes his spirituality, God and Christ into his message, into the program. I think that's extremely important. But I've literally had to stop myself, from posting video questioning, certain things about the team because I'm not in the locker room. I don't know what's going on. Most recently they changed offensive coordinators, which I think that, if you've been watching the games all season like I have and you have, they needed a change, and what Coach Prime was trying to do was light a fire, not only up under these players, because if you heard his post-game presser just a couple of days ago, he talked about how some of the players aren't showing that fire, aren't showing that enthusiasm like they did the first couple of games of the season. I've heard a lot of people on social media and on YouTube with a lot of different channels saying, Coach Prime, has he lost the locker room? Coach Prime has lost the players in the locker room. I can't say that. I'm not in that locker room. At the end of the day, these are student athletes. These are young men between the ages of I'm going out on a limb and saying between the ages of 19 and 21, maybe 18, maybe 22. I don't know about that. But, these are still young men. These are still kids. And of course, they're going to have their moments to where they might not be as focused as you would expect. I mean, that could be for a lot of different reasons. So I'm not going to criticize the program. I still believe in what Coach Prime is doing. And look, Colorado won one game last season. So far, okay, no matter what you say, they have improved the program. The program might not necessarily be where we thought it would be the first couple of games of the season. Yes, they are 4-5. But listen, that's literally a couple of more games. That's like 3 more games than they won last year. They have beyond exceeded expectations. I know, of course, we all had national championship playoff expectations at the beginning of the season just because they look so good. But, sometimes things take time. You have to, I hate this phrase, but I'm learning this in my own personal life. You have to literally trust the process. And without that grueling, that going through the gauntlet, going through the aches, the pains, and I'm not talking about physical aches and pains, although you can relate that to football, the aches and pains of the growing pains, you have to take that long walk in order to get better and see a reward at the end of that long walk. So, no one expected, Colorado to just be in a national championship game after the first year, or nobody expected them to be in the playoffs. This is going to take time. I believe next year the team will be better. Back to Samuel L. Jackson, I feel that and it's my final point, Sam Jackson should have knew that was going to be a bad look, criticizing, throwing that little bit of shade he did at Coach Prime. Not a good look, man. Not cool. You know what I mean? I feel like us black men, we should be supporting each other. I feel that one thing that Coach Prime has always talked about is unity, whether you're black, whether you're white. And I feel like as men in general, we need to be supporting each other, especially African-American black men, because we don't see that at all, hardly all the time on the news, on TV. We see the negative side to being a black person in America. So to see another prominent black man criticizing another prominent black man, I just don't like that, man. It's just not a good look. And of course, that's not to say that any coach in any sport or any position coach is above criticism, because I believe you should debate. You should criticize in a good, healthy, provocative way that brings about good conversation and especially good debate. It's just the way you go about doing it instead of nitpicking. It's just all about how you do it. That's all I'm saying. Thank you for watching the Evil One podcast. And once again, subscribe to the channel. Why don't you? I would definitely appreciate. Until next time, I will check y'all later. Peace.